Hey there, you're listening to You Still Going On About That with Rob Israel and Joseph K. You can find us anywhere you could download podcasts. You could also find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at YSGOAT. Thanks for listening. I'm Rob Israel.
I'm Joseph K.
And you still going on about
that?
All right, Joseph, what are we going to talk about this week?
We are. Not much has happened lately, so I don't.
Oh, yeah, it's been pretty lame year, non-events, you know.
Dog days
another
of summer.
Year. What?
Dog days of summer.
Just another regular year. Nothing happened. Nothing eventful.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, right. This year is hell. You know, this year is. I was talking to my wife about this. I said, like, in the beginning of the year, it doesn't really snow by us, and in the beginning of the year, we got like a little bit of snow. It was like the first day or two. Literally, I think it was like January 2nd. And I remember looking outside, seeing snow, and we were like, my son was like playing in it, and I was like, this is gonna be a great year. This is a sign. This is a sign it's gonna be the best year ever.
Right.
Yeah, not so much.
Yeah, that's probably what.
I can't say it's been the worst for me, but it's definitely not been the best for others.
Yeah, it's not been the worst for me. I mean, you're right. Like, but it's only through sheer good luck, and a little hard work that it didn't turn out terrible for me. You know, like.
I think it's location too. We're not in certain areas, and we're not being dumb, and
yeah,
there's a lot of factors involved.
That's
socioeconomic. There's a lot of, but guess what? We're only halfway, Joseph.
Yeah.
2020 is good. Who know? You know, if we could survive this year, 2020 is the hell year. It's the.
It's something. I'm gonna give it my best shot. So
I don't know. I can't say it's like the worst year ever, like from a personal level, but it's definitely the worst year ever. For my lifetime, I think this is like I'm 42 and I've never seen the stuff I've seen happen what I'm seeing.
Well, I mean, by any metric, it's terrible. Like
on this level, I mean, I've seen 9/11 and that was bad, and I've seen Iraq War, I've seen market crashes and instability and Donald Trump presidency, I grew up AIDS. I didn't grow up with AIDS, but
right.
You know, but I feel like this is like 10 years of shit in like 6 months.
It does seem almost biblical, you know, like this would be a Left Behind novel or something. It would be
starring Kirk Cameron
and Kevin Sorbo.
Kevin Sorbo is Kirk Cameron in Kevin Sorbo.
Yeah.
It's a strange movie.
That would be awesome. It'd be like adaptation, but like
not good.
But not good.
And sold to buttheads in churches as a pyramid scam where they use federal tax dollars to. There's a great speaking of that, I highly recommend you look up Maggie Mae Fish. She does a whole thing on evangelical movies.
Oh, okay.
And what a scam they are.
Yeah.
They like cipher they're able to like cipher money from local governments and stuff because they claim it as like religion.
Oh Lord.
And so the whole thing is just one big like scheme. And yeah. So
almost all of that stuff seems to, at the end of the day, be some means by which someone can get money. You know,
it's just niche marketing, but abusing, you know, religious organizations and but that's a whole nother podcast. Like I said, listen to Maggie Mae Fish. You can go on YouTube and find it. I find it really interesting.
Speaking of movies, though, we were actually going to get into something in our last episode, and we didn't quite get to it. And it was about Star Wars. It was a Star Wars-related tangent that we almost found ourselves on, and it involved Finn going to protest.
You mean John Boyega, not?
No,
Finn is a fictional character. He's not real.
Right. Well, yeah, it was John Boyega went, and he was in London protesting.
Well, let's give some context. So, obviously, we're talking about what a hell year this is. for the country or the planet.
Hmm.
We've been going through a pandemic. You're listening to this episode. You are going through the pandemic. We've had economy has crashed. I don't know if we're in a depression, but it's not good.
It was today they announced this is kind of funny. We officially went into a recession in
Ooh.
February,
Oh
which
yeah, I saw that.
predates the coronavirus. So Trump crashed the
Oopsie.
economy all on his own. His terrible
It was
economic
inevitable.
policy.
People saw it coming. My dad called it a zombie economy last year.
Oh, that's a really good analogy. Yeah.
He said it was a zombie economy. He said there was we were literally, I mean, from day one, first of all, the first year of the presidency is almost like really the last year of the last presidency.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And like whatever data is going to come out, it's really going to be what, happens the year before. It's like anything, it's like business in general, it's like what your performance is based on how you did last year.
Yeah.
And Trump touted success because he came after a successful president. Obama couldn't do that for at least 2 years because he came out of a bag of poop, which was the George W. Bush administration.
Yes.
Where we were basically almost in a depression before even the fall of 2008.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting that they announced that. I'm sure he is trying to hide that because, he of course, he'll blame coronavirus, but if you go by his words, there was no coronavirus in February, even though there was, but not what we had. And he said it didn't exist. It was a hoax. So he can't blame the coronavirus for this happening.
No,
it's all his fault.
It was his bullshit tax cut plan. It was the fact that he mismanaged everything. He started these trade wars that were unnecessary and unwinnable. I mean, anything you could do. It's like giving your 6-year-old your debit card and saying, like, here's how you work Amazon. I trust that you'll use this responsibly. And then you come home.
No, don't download Roblox characters.
Right. Those skins are bullshit. You don't need those. That's what you get. And I don't know. So anyway, but
but like what was a good example too? Fuck, I was about to say it and I totally blanked. What was it? Tariffs. That was another bullshit thing. Like all that did was hurt U.S. manufacturers, and it really what it was. Every idiots who were like, "Yeah, Trump's trying to fight China." It's like, hey, moron, the tariffs.
Yeah,
that hurts us. It doesn't really hurt China.
It's so ridiculous. If I'm selling you something for $1, and all of a sudden the government taxes me 5 cents on that dollar, I'm not selling you that thing for $1 anymore. I'm going to sell it to you for $1.05, maybe $1.06 or something. I mean,
to make up for something. Yeah, of course. So, this was like 2 years ago. This wasn't even last year. And I remember my old company that I left. I was talking to someone who worked there, and he told me that they were going through hell because they do all their business in China and they do all their business in other countries. All their manufacturers are there. So all it did was hurt this American business. So, and of course, all those people probably voted for Trump anyway. And the joke is they'll probably still vote for him because they're insane. But yeah. And then, of course, we just went through a massive, we're still going through. It's not over.
Yeah.
It's not over. We're in the middle of it. I feel like it's maybe quieting down a little bit. Probably because the police have backed off a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, they said, they're like, oh, gee, George Floyd was killed, and that opened the door for all kinds of protests. And then a cop riot, and people were getting shot with rubber bullets and pepper sprayed and like pepper bullets and beaten by batons by cops named Baloney. No joke, an actual cop named Baloney.
Yes.
Who looked like an actual pig. My apologies to pigs. Actual pigs. My apologies to actual little.
Right. His first. Do you know his first name?
Please, John.
No, I don't know it. I was just hoping it was like
I don't
Oscar
know.
or something.
It's Ham Baloney.
If it was like the My Baloney has a first name.
Yeah, his name is Mai.
Yeah.
Meyer Baloney. Mike Baloney.
Right.
No, so yeah, we're going through that, and then then Trump like became went into a bunker and came out as a fascist dictator.
Yeah.
And declared, what was your joke? 6 more weeks of protesting.
Yeah, he saw his shadow, and so that means
probably very true.
Yeah.
But so when amidst that protest, of course, celebrities will come out, but one who has come out big time I guess in UK. I don't think he was here. He's in the UK.
Yeah.
He's British, actually.
Right.
Is John Boyega, star of the Star Wars sequel, the character Finn.
Yeah.
He's become very outspoken. I haven't, like I said, I heard like video of it, and most of the one I heard was mostly like just bleeped.
Yeah.
I swore he said "fuck Disney, fuck Hollywood," which is kind of funny.
It does seem like once he was done with the Star Wars movies, the number of fucks he had left to give had diminished greatly. Like,
yeah, once his contract was done, like when they were doing the press tour, what do they call that?
Like the junket.
Press junket. Yeah, the junket. They have to like these poor actors poor actors. Boo-hoo. But they have to go through. I'm sure if I went there, I'd be really miserable too. But they get interviewed by like a shit ton of reporters for all different things all over the world, and they literally get asked the same questions.
Yeah.
So they follow a script.
I've heard they even have to talk to Pierce Morgan and stuff. So
yeah, exactly. He was asked one question: will there be further adventures of Finn? And he said, no one's gonna Disney Plus my ass. Like,
yeah.
I think his character got fucked over. I don't care. I love like it's so funny. It's like if I went back to 2015, I would say I still like Force Awakens. I don't care if people think it's for what it was at the time. I don't really like it now because I think the sequel series was just
it pales. The stuff that came after it kind of diminished it.
Yeah,
I still like the movie.
It would have been it would have excelled based on if the other two excelled, and then it would have been like it would have made it so much richer. But I think with his character, at least in the first one, there's some good stuff in it, and I felt like there could have been a lot of potential especially with Finn. Like, I found it interesting in the end of the first movie. And that's why it's so funny when people are like, it's just a ripoff of the first of Star Wars. I'm like, it really isn't. I mean, yeah, it follows some stuff, and there's some convenient things like the Millennium Falcon's really stupid, like it just happened to be there.
Well, you have to walk a tightrope between breaking new ground and kind of honoring old ground. I mean, like,
right. I mean, part of me would have been like, let's come up with some new ships, or at least do something different, or make them look like they evolved. I mean, that's one thing I do like about the prequels is at least there's like the ships were different, and like there's an evolution. You see the evolution leading to it, so why not? Instead, they were just like, people like X-Wings, just make them red this time. But I mean, obviously, I'm not going to talk about Star Wars all the time. I could go on for an hour, but like hours.
Yeah.
I just think like his character was such a great character, and the ending of the movie, he literally gets his back hacked by Kylo, and he's in like a coma in the end of the movie. And I thought that was pretty awesome. I feel like, of course, the sequel, Last Jedi, comes out, and his character just wakes up, and it's like a joke. He's a leaky bag. It's like, ha ha. And then he gets thrown on a side quest. I don't care what people say. It was a fucking side quest. His character was totally pushed to the side. And I mean, they could have done something. I was like thinking about it, because that's all I do is think about Star Wars. Mm-hmm. Like, instead of like, okay, let's say they go to the stupid casino planet, what could have been cooler, and it would have made more character growth and set up the whole, because supposedly the rumor was in the first movie, you find out the First Order, they don't use clones anymore, and well, they're not the Empire, and they don't use clones.
Right.
And they also, they don't have an Empire. So basically what they did was they were abducting young children through and basically brainwashing them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Finn was one of them. And it's kind of a fucked up thing, you know. It's like what do they call it, like child soldiers.
Oh yeah, definitely.
There's like a lot of like messaging there, and I feel like the movies, especially like the same thing, like Anakin being a slave in the prequels, and Finn being like this basically child soldier, or he's older but abducted and brainwashed. It's like these are like serious subject matters that either the writers of these movies were either too lazy to like, or the people who made the movies, like the producers and stuff, were like, listen, this shit's too heavy.
Yeah.
We're trying to sell some fucking action figures. Let's downplay the slave thing, and let's for Anakin, let's downplay the child soldier aspect of Finn. And
yeah,
this is a little heavy.
I don't mind. I mean, like that's the thing. It's like, could
save that for Galaxy Quest?
Yeah, could Star Wars have gone there? I mean, sure, but like you can't. You can't dip your toe in it. You have to go. If you're going to start talking about slavery, that's a topic that you talk about. You know, you don't just. It's not a.
Well, they could have done smarter stuff in the sequel, in The Last Jedi, where he goes with Rose, and he just ends up becoming this like vacuum, like this empty shell of a character. And Rose has like a little story which talks about like the kids are being used by the people, and like her and her sister were used. And what they could have done, though, they could have been like, that could have opened the door where Finn could have found out on the casino planet that that is where I'm rewriting Last Jedi, making Last Jedi a better movie. I'm going to make Last Jedi a better movie right now. And now everyone could say, wow, Finn, the casino planet wouldn't have been a waste of time, because Finn would have found out on the casino planet that is also a place where they basically sell the children to the First Order.
Yeah.
And Finn could have found out he could have found out a little bit of his origins, and that he was abducted, and basically there's like this system, and that could have been like actually kind of cool. Then he would have learned about, and then in the third movie they tried touching on that, and it was really weak sauce, where they introduced that other woman who was they were a bunch of ex-stormtroopers.
Yeah.
But it just felt very tacked on and not thought out. It was like last minute.
It did. It seemed last minute.
And his character just ended up becoming this like kind of I don't know what the words to use, like just say pansy, but like kind of just like a weak side character who just yells for Rey all the time. Like he didn't do anything. He just became like like there was all like the first movie, like, okay, could he be either really good friends with Rey, or he loves her, or is he gonna be just straight up gay with Poe? Like that was like I don't know, like people were just trying to make something.
No, but it seemed like in the first movie he was making decisions and taking risks, and by the end he really wasn't. You know, and that was kind of a shame. The character got like weakened in that regard.
Well, what was it, like no agency type thing?
Yeah, he didn't have any agency.
By the third movie, he was just screaming for Rey, and he, they didn't do anything with his character. So, yeah, I could see him being like, yeah, fuck this. And the thing is, it's like, it's like, it's one thing if like people didn't like his character in the first movie, and Star Wars people are like, we're gonna like, yeah, you're in the second movie, don't worry, but you're like, you only know in like 3 scenes.
We'll get you next time.
And then in the third movie, you're just on it for like a second. It's like Rose is in the third movie barely.
Yeah.
The guy from Lost is in it as much as her.
Right.
The guy from Lost who was not in any of the other movies.
The Hobbit guy. Yeah.
Yeah, the Hobbit.
Right.
He just I thought it was interesting that they just had him play his role from the Hobbit.
Yeah.
And he was short. It was really weird. He's like, what am I doing here?
Like right before the final assault, when he asked for second breakfast, I thought like a real.
I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
And then he jumped into bed in the end and started tickling.
Yeah.
Like in the end of Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
So like, but I mean, like his character was cool. I don't remember anyone being like, I don't like Finn. The first movie, everyone liked Finn.
Yeah.
And I feel like the second movie, the guy Ryan Johnson was like, I don't know what to do with this fucking guy. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to show a hobo drinking dinosaur monster tit milk
Well, it seems
and
like because
staring at a girl while he drinks it.
it seems like Boyega. I don't want to say he burned the bridge to Disney, but he
I
made
don't
a
think he gives a shit.
yeah. He's done with that, and he's pretty vocal about being done with that.
But they seem to not. They don't seem to burn their bridge with him because social media like Star Wars' Instagram and Twitter and all them. They were like, we backed John Boyega, and they donated money. Disney, they were like backing him. So I don't think he really burned any bridges with them. I think, or they don't want to look bad. That's probably it too. Especially in like. Like, it's funny. I love all these like right wingers get mad and stuff about like companies and stuff like going
Did you
out
hear?
for like Black Lives Matter and saying that they back them and everything. They're like, they're just doing that. And it's like, well, I mean, yeah, you could look at it that way, but you could also look at it like the majority of people are sick of this shit. And
Did you see Ben Shapiro today complained that protesters have taken sports from him?
I feel like coronavirus did that.
I don't know. I'm just trying to get a mental picture of Ben Shapiro watching sports.
What is he? The only sport I can see him watching is Gulliver's Travel, where Laputians have to tie a full-size man down.
I just see him like being super interested in like the refereeing, and that's it. Like,
He's the did you watch WWF back in the day? Like I'm talking about the old WWF, like 80s.
Back then with like the Great Kabuki and Hulk and the Iron.
Yeah, like there was one guy. I think it was Bob Backlund. I don't remember the name of the guy, but like he was it was such a fake thing. He was a referee who turned evil and then became a wrestler.
Oh, okay. I don't remember that.
Yeah, it was like I just remember he was one of these characters. I mean, Ben Shapiro would be like the only thing he would be in wrestling would be like a shitty manager.
Yeah.
Who comes out with like whatever wrestler and he's like, I'm Ben Shapiro, like I'm the boy genius. And then he gets pantsed in the end by like Hulk Hogan. Like he would wedgie him and everyone would be like, like he'd be begging, like, no.
Yeah. Yeah.
He said something else. Oh, he said something about institutional racism. Every day there's a new one. I honestly think he only exists to get people to talk about him. Because I'm like, I don't think people actually like him. I mean, I'm wondering, like, I don't know. I mean, I'm not that person, so.
I'll bet you that his most ardent fans still don't like him, but will say that he brings up some good points.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I could see that. Or, yeah, like, or, because he is an intellectual. Or they could say they have one, even though.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think he's stupid. I think he says stupid things, and I think
he's just duplicitous. I mean, he's smart enough to kind of like know.
Yeah, he's a grifter.
Yeah.
He's a huckster.
He's the kind of guy that goes to your town and tries to sell your city council on a monorail.
Monorail. Do you know who Tim Pool is? Speaking of grifters.
Yeah. Why do I know that name?
He's the guy with the beanie.
Okay. Yes. Yeah.
Right. He's one of those guys who. Oh, okay. So here's the thing. At least with Ben Shapiro, you know what he is. He's conservative, or he says he is.
Right.
Even though he's all over the place, and he just reacts to whatever's in the news. His opinions change. Like now he's for death. He was against death panels. Now he wants to kill your grandma.
Right.
To open the economy. So Tim Pool is like this guy who pretends to be a liberal who thinks everything's crazy, and it's like it's a total grift. Like I never heard this guy until I watched him on like Rogan like last year, and I was like, this guy is so full of crap. First of all, the whole time he would just defend Trump supporters, the whole time, and I was like, that's strange. I mean, you say you're on the left, but you defend. Now, I don't think there's anything wrong with like maybe once saying like,
yeah.
or saying I agree on one thing. But when you spend the whole show just attacking people on the left and literally crying and whining and talking about how Trump supporters are getting kicked off social media and trying to create this narrative about how he came out today that I think the other day, mass off, he basically said he would vote for Trump. So
okay, sure.
I mean, the guy sells food buckets. I'm sorry, if you're selling food buckets.
It. Yeah, right.
And that was months ago. If you're selling food buckets, you're fucking like you're riding that.
Yeah, that's no good.
Circuit.
That's no good.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess we could just go into the main subject of this podcast, and then we'll talk a little bit about Snowpiercer TV show.
Right.
Some things have been going around because of the whole George Floyd thing. Oh, before we get into that, actually, the conspiracy nuts are starting to pop up.
Yeah.
They're starting to say, they're starting to make claims of crisis actors.
Right.
I saw one with the old man that got pushed by the cop in Buffalo, New York. They're like, he's a crisis actor. There was a packet of blood on the back. He knows how to fall. Like he's Chevy Chase in 1970s. It was Chevy Chase. They knocked him over.
Yeah.
And he was,
right.
Yeah. Like acting. And then they said the George Floyd thing is crisis actor. These guys are just because they show that like similar incident happened in other countries, and I'm just like,
wait a minute, get out of here. You mean that police in other countries also kill people?
Yeah, I know. That's like it's so stupid.
Okay,
but it's like when I see that stuff, I just go, okay, here we go again.
Yeah,
Sandy Hook all over again. And the problem is this shit spreads like wildfire on fucking Facebook.
Yeah.
And I start seeing idiots I went to high school with posting it and getting real defensive and being like, I'm not racist, but and then they post that and I'm just like, but you are. It's like,
well, it is.
You're just gonna see that. I mean, it's inevitable. Anytime there's any kind of incident and there's progressive change of any kind, or the call for progressive change in any mind, there's always a movement by fake conspiracy nuts like Alex Jones or people who just push bullshit to basically stifle it.
Well, this has been the most successful strategy that the right has come up with in the last 10 years, to my understanding, is I think at some point they realized that the times were against them and the truth was against them, and then they just started doing essentially the Trump playbook, which is just start making random shit up, put it all out there, and then the average voter will just throw his or her hands up and say, who knows what's right, it's all subjective, and I'm gonna vote Trump because he makes me feel good or whatever.
That's Fox News in general. I mean, that's what Fox News' main point to exist was. It was a reactionary to the Nixon. It was meant to basically prevent anything like Nixon happening again.
Yeah.
The whole concept of Fox News is ridiculous because when you say like, well, we're going to come at it with a different point of view, that really doesn't make any sense because the news is news. Like if a car blows up, a car blows up.
Well, they're like fair and balanced. Like there must be two sides to the story, but that's often not true. There's people can feel different ways about a story, but like some things just happened or they didn't happen. There's not like like Trump's inauguration crowd.
That was just ridiculous.
Easy one to figure out. You fucking count the people, or
you just look at the photo.
Or that's not hard. But like they're still talking about how like, well, if you adjust for time and what are you fucking talking about? There were less people.
It's incomparable. It's complete bullshit. Like I said, the Obama inauguration and I'm not kissing Obama's ass here. This is just a hard fact. Had millions of people there. I was thinking of going to it. You couldn't if you wanted to.
No.
It was like people camped out there. It was a history-making moment. Trump was the exact opposite. It was a history-making moment, but not one that most people want to participate in.
Right. Yeah.
It's a failure on progress. It's a failure on society, and they know it. And they also know that he's terrible. Yeah. And they know that Republican politics don't really work. So they need things like Fox News to create an alternate point of view. And then Fox News, it's funny. It's like people always go after Alex Jones. And I'm like, do you go on like Tucker Carlson? And he says the same crazy shit. He's ginning up a race war on his fucking show. He's just a
socially acceptable Alex Jones. And honestly,
it's on Fox, so it's on a mainstream network. Instead of selling snake oil,
he sells Swanson
selling cars. What?
He sells Swanson dinners. I mean, like literally. That's who.
Well, he is the heiress of Swanson Empire. Yeah. That was the best burn of AOC ever did to a person.
Oh yeah.
Because most people didn't know that. I mean, I always knew he was like a rich kid. I just figured he was.
He had a bow tie. You didn't.
Yeah, he had a bow tie. He was conservative, and he was on the news. And I knew he came from a rich family. I didn't know it was the Swanson's TV dinner family.
Right. Yeah.
And I just thought that AOC burn against him was the best when he was trying to I love when they try to. It's so funny how the party that claims to be about working and
right
by your bootstraps. Well, here's a good example. Here's AOC, somebody who literally had to. They'll attack her for bartending.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Which is really weird because it's like a lot of working class people bartend. So I find it really bizarre that the party that constantly attacks the left for drinking lattes or whatever bullshit they want to spread, and they try to make this bullshit that they're out of touch with the working man, but then they trash somebody who is literally the working man who made herself become a congressperson and came out of nowhere, and like they can't understand that. It's like the same thing. Like they think protesters are all paid. The reason why they think that is because they can't understand the concept because they're paid protesters.
Oh, yeah.
Their protesters are literally funded or at least the main parts are, AstroTurf from the Koch brothers. They can't, when they see millions of people marching against the police and police brutality, you can't get it. They're like George Soros. I mean, George Soros would have to have more money than the United States to fund this protest. I mean, this doesn't even make any fucking sense. But they can't get it. They don't get that. Like, people are actually passionate. Like the coronavirus, people are like, "Well, you said it was you got mad at us for wanting a haircut last month.
Yeah.
Here you guys are out
protesting for your civil rights."
But like we talked about this before. What was if you're a black person, you probably have a better chance getting killed by a cop than coronavirus.
It's like a literal life and death situation for people in certain communities. It just is, So I will say the only Republican that I don't think has ever made fun of AOC for being a bartender is Matt Gaetz, who holds bartenders in a certain esteem.
I'm sure he's a shitty tipper, though. I almost guarantee he's a terrible tipper. Matt Gaetz is a piece of shit.
He is.
He's a fascist dumb fuck, just like Tom Cotton's a fascist. The guy who, speaking of Tom Cotton, did that op-ed we talked about. The guy, Bennett.
Oh, yeah.
Did he resign or he got fired?
I heard he got pushed out. He resigned, but I heard he got pushed out.
What the? I just love it. It's like, but Tom Cotton wins in the end. He still got to have his op-ed. He got to get legitimate,
He gets to double dip. He gets to both have his op-ed published and then get it unpublished so he can complain about being the victim too. It's like a win-win for Tom Cotton.
It's a win-win for the GOP.
Yeah. So
that's really all it is. They know how to play that game. They know how to manipulate it. You get morons like the guy Bennett. I don't mean to say he's a moron, but you get people who will like either cave in or have bad political, or they don't know how to handle the experience.
people who play fair or
I don't think he was playing fair. The guy, because like I said, the next day they should have had somebody someone big or somebody write an op-ed saying like, you need to defund the police or something, or maybe fascism is a bad idea,
Well, that's kind of where we were going next, was this notion of defunding the police.
But if it did that, we would get cats out of trees.
Well, I'll tell you, I understand. I was on Facebook today, and there's a person I'm friends. I'm not really friends with the person, but I'm like Facebook friends with this person. Good enough person. I don't think I've ever seen this person post anything political one way or the other. And she was like, "I'm hearing about defunding the police. What does that mean?" And like, it didn't seem like alarmist. It was just like, what does that mean?
Well, yeah, what does that mean? Because it's like people are gonna see, the problem is Republicans are really good at bullshit where they, come up with the Clean Air Act, and it's just like, it's clean air.
Yeah.
What do you need to know? Go away. They come up with bullshit like that. But when you use little terms like defund the police, you gotta explain it, because then people are like,
well,
is it gonna be anarchy now? Like,
yeah, I definitely get people being curious about that phrase. And
I'm defunding police a little curious, if you know. It's the weirdest Craigslist ad. Defunding the police curious here. Tipping my toe into the defunding the police pool.
Do you like pina coladas?
I'm just starting to, I'm getting a little curious about that defunding the police.
Well, I get people being wary of it. But look,
oils in your wardrobe.
I'm 100% for defunding the police.
Okay, well, before you declare anarchy,
yes.
What does that mean?
Well, the truth of the matter is there is no one meaning, because it's not a thing like helium.
It doesn't mean that the police department is all of a sudden gone and now you can go drive 120 miles an hour and go stab someone. That's not what it means.
If you wanted to get rid of the police, you would say, I want to get rid of the police. You wouldn't say, I want to defund the police. There's a reason they don't say we want to get rid of the police or outlaw the police or ban the police. You're still going to have cops. You're still going to have...
Is, of course, right-wingers and people like Trump are going to say things like, oh, you want to get rid of cops, because that's what they do. They take anything and they turn it into the worst thing.
I'll tell you, there's... And the Republicans might not like to hear this because it's mostly Republican cities. Big secret, there's cities all over America that have defunded the police out of existence. There's not a million. There's many cities, they don't have a police force. They rely on
New Jersey's one of them, right?
I'm sorry?
Camden, New Jersey, I think did that.
I don't know if Camden is, but I know, like, I used to live in Florida, and for a long time, like, Bonita Springs didn't have a police department. They used the sheriff's department, the county sheriff department, for law enforcement. They just didn't have a police department.
And that sheriff was Boss Hogg.
Well, no, it was close. It was Mike Scott, and he was essentially Boss Hogg. Dude looked like he just came out of Cool Hand Luke. Back of his neck looked like a package of hot dogs.
Officer Baloney?
Yeah. He was terrible. He once pitched a fit because a professor at his daughter's college said something slightly critical of the police, and he went down to the university to complain with his gun and everything. A fucking dick. So anyway, there's plenty of cities that don't have a police department. They defunded the police out of existence. They no longer have a police department. And instead, they rely on an elected sheriff who's accountable to voters and who has to propose a budget and who has to operate within that budget. They don't get a handout from the city coffers or whatever. Shit, defunding the police has happened all over America in plenty of places like Arkansas and Alabama and all those. I think defunding the police, to me, is like, stop giving them tanks.
Yeah, I mean, where the guy's like, I'm going to kill you. Like that video that surfaced of the guy in the street and that militarized Humvee and the guy in the video, like, we do not move out of the way. We're going to kill you.
Yeah. What do you need a fucking army tank for? A Bradley assault vehicle?
Yeah, what? Because people are holding signs saying Black Lives Matter?
Well, here's the thing, too. I looked up, and this is just some armchair, back of the napkin math. I looked up the City of Dallas's annual budget. It's a lot. Spoiler alert. It's a lot of money. And they give an overview of the budget, like where's this money going? And 25% was going to public safety. Now, that included firefighters, but it was mostly cops, okay? Think of all the shit a city's got to do, like clean water, pave roads, just random shit a city's got to do. Maybe pave sidewalks, have an art museum, or have school stuff going on, all that shit. Are you telling me 25% of our budget goes to the police? What do the police do? I mean, we need them. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying
donuts, man.
What do they do, though? When was the last time you utilized the services of a police officer? Willingly.
I thought there was a bobcat in my backyard. I called them up, and I think they thought I was insane. I'm surprised they didn't come to my house to like talk to me. They just pretty much ignored me.
Well,
it was just the neighbor's cat. So I guess I might have abused it. Oh, there's a bobcat in my backyard. Oh, never mind. It's Mr. Poop. It's Mr. Poofy. Scram, kitty.
Well, it's Heathcliff. He's feeling.
Yeah.
Who was the cat that threw bricks? Oh, Ignatz and Crazy Cat. Like, remember that?
Heathcliff would get into fights, and then there was Riff Raff.
Oh yeah, that cat was a fucking menace.
Riff Raff had the hot girlfriend, and Riff Raff invented furry porn.
Yeah,
like that's where it starts. That's the patient zero of
the vectors
is Riff Raff's girlfriend.
But what do the police do? I mean, honestly,
I'm sorry. I thought we were talking about Riff Raff.
On average, the police will act as tax collectors by patrolling the streets and giving people traffic tickets.
Yep.
That's essentially a tax collection.
And they claim they don't have a quota, even though in the end of the month they are all out waiting for you, or any type of like holiday, like Martin Luther King, or any Monday holiday.
I'll tell you,
they
anytime
are out and about those days.
I mean, I can't imagine them solving many crimes. You know?
I mean, listen, I'm not, okay. So I think another thing with defunding the police, what I heard was that it would take money and create, so you don't have cops being the only thing that handle all things.
Right.
So you would have obviously if you watch Law and Order, there is a special victims unit.
Well, the criminal justice system is divided into two. That's all I know about this.
It is a CSI. And there's CSI Miami.
Right.
CSI.
From my understanding, there's 3 cities that have CSI departments, and
everyone else is screwed.
Right.
They're like, oh, we need.
But no, you're right. Like, look, right now, if there's a random homeless person hassling people for spare change in front of the Kroger, they call the cops. What? But by defunding the police, you don't call the cops. What?
Got a light?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
The
Twin Peaks people.
Yeah, got a light.
Well, you need the cops for them, but
yeah, definitely.
But if there's a random homeless person, you don't call the cops. You call like 711 or 6, whatever the number happens to be, and they send out like a social worker, and the social worker handles it.
The social worker kills the homeless person.
Well, I mean, it's a judgment call. Like, if the guy is also brandishing a knife, then maybe you call a cop or something. But like, cops.
You have different departments. So, obviously, bigger cities do have things like that more, right? But then when you get to like smaller cities, it's like they do throw it all on the cops to handle like almost everything.
Yeah.
And
imagine like you call someone and you got to decide who you're sending out to respond to the call. Is it going to be Andy or Barney? You know? And Andy
the dog Flash from the Dukes of Hazzard.
Right, yeah. You're going to send Roscoe or Enos, you know? Because Enos and Andy, those were people. You know, they dealt with things humanely, and they'd talk to you. But Roscoe and Barney, they'd go in guns blazing. Even
They're
though
cold
Barney,
blood fucking killers. You talking about
yeah,
Don Knotts, right?
right, yeah,
Some hardcore fucking. Oh golly!
right. I remember that true crime, The Ghost and Mr. Chicken, which was like a true.
What was the fish that he was? Don Knotts turned to a fish.
Oh shoot, yeah, I don't even remember that one. Anyway,
Maybe I was in the nightmare mind. I don't know.
but that's what you're talking about when you're talking about defunding the police. You're not talking about getting rid of the police. You're talking about essentially here. I'll reframe this like a Republican would. You're essentially freeing up the police to deal with police-related things. It's a freedom of sorts that we're granting them. It's an opportunity that the police will be able to do police things, so they don't have to deal with these other things.
Well, I mean, what else can they do though to, maybe also make the training longer than 6 months?
Maybe you check them for swastika tattoos.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea because let me tell you, Google cops with Nazi tattoos. And I know that sounds weird, like why would I Google that? But just Google it. And I promise you won't see porn. You will see pictures of cops in streets, handling, like what we're seeing now, where little SS lightning bolt tattoos are sneaking out of their cuff on their sleeve, or like they get caught. It's happened. I've seen Ferguson. They showed that. There's a lot of like neo-Nazi scumbags that have infiltrated the police. That a lot of. Unfortunately, stuff like that's going to attract people who are a little fascistic, I guess is the word.
Yeah. There is something that, and honestly, to some extent, you see this with like the teaching profession too. Some people getting to teaching just because they like to boss people around, like teachers aren't given firearms yet outside of Florida. But like being a police officer does attract probably the best of people and the worst of people.
Tackleberries from Police Academy. Remember Tackleberry?
Yeah, he was the worst. He was a rough one. Yeah, but you're right. You do.
He was a real rough one.
For every Gutenberg, you have a Tackleberry.
For every sound machine man, you got a for every sweet chuck, you get a Tackleberry.
But that's true. I mean, like people probably go into the police force because they are either super altruistic, and they want to help people and they want to keep order in their community and they like the regimen and all that, or they get off on guns and bossing people around. Maybe
another thing too is that they really should only hire people that live in the area.
Yeah, I think that's a big one.
I think that's the biggest. I'm sorry. They shouldn't hire people 50 miles away. They shouldn't hire people that, okay, you're going to work in this heavily minority area, but you live in Nassau County, like you go work in like this part of Queens or this part of Brooklyn, but you live all the way out in New Jersey or Long Island and you watch fucking Fox News all day and you fucking hate everyone that you're listening to fucking Tucker Carlson. Like I said, one of the videos going around that of like the cops and with all these protests and or cop riots was the one guy just basically saying, don't bring up George Soros, and he was a cop, and he wasn't just a cop, he was like a higher up, like he was a mid-level boss in a video game.
Yeah. It's crazy. I think living in the community works really well. I know in Florida where I lived, there was some program, I forget, I don't know if it was a city program or a county program or whatever, but housing in Florida was terribly expensive. And it was basically, they would tell police officers that they would give you some sort of homestead exemption. They'd give you some break if you lived where you worked and if you parked your squad car out front. Basically saying like, if you live in the neighborhood you work in and you park your car up front so that people see a police lives in that neighborhood, you get some sort of financial benefit. And it worked really well from what I recall. And we had a couple officers that lived in our neighborhood. We lived in like a middle of the road, average neighborhood in Florida. And they'd walk around, they'd walk their dogs, they'd know the people. And, if a neighbor's party got out of hand, nothing bad happened, but like it just kind of kept the neighborhood in check. It wasn't a weird thing. And the police were cool with people because these were people they had to live with too. They're not going to give someone a headache for doing 56 and a 55 because they got to stand next to this guy in line at Publix.
Yeah, I mean, let's just get into like the politics of it, and then we'll head to the Snowpiercer.
Yeah.
So like, I personally, and I'm not against defunding the police. I want to find any way possible to, reduce as many, what was the guy's name? Chauvin?
Oh yeah, Daniel Chauvin or
Yeah, we need like a lot less of him in just just people like that in general from any industry. I think psychological exams are important. I think like freeing them up so they're not handling everything. Like I remember the guy from Dallas when there was a guy who shot a bunch of cops actually.
Oh yeah.
And they talked to the guy, I guess he was the commissioner. He's not anymore, but he brought good points, and he said the police, just like teachers too,
Sure.
they're responsible for too many things, and I blame that on just throwing workload. That's become a thing over the years as they try to reduce workforce, or they try to like maximize.
I agree, but that's for everyone.
Right. That's what I'm trying to say. Like that's the problem in the world we live in now is
a lot
of places try to squeeze every drop they can get out of an employee, squeeze you like a lemon. They like to say we wear many hats here, and that obviously, but obviously, teachers and cops are different because they have more of an effect on our society.
Yeah.
A teacher has an effect on how a child can be brought up and educated, and a cop can be the guy who kills you because they put a knee on you.
Cops, I remember like when I was teaching, most of the kids were just fine. Most of the kids were really good, but like almost every day there'd be like 5 or 6 kids, and all they would do is like fucking lie to your face nonstop. They just like lie, and then by the end of the day, it like kind of sticks with you. And then like a couple years of that, you're like, these fucking kids lie all the time. It's not true. They don't all lie all the time, but like the few that just lie to you repeatedly gets you. All cops see are bad people. Like whenever a cop pulls someone over or a cop, it's rare that that's a pleasant experience. All they see is kind of people at their worst or people at their, I don't know. I see how that gets in their head. They should give cops, I mean, I don't mean this in a punitive way, but cops should go to counseling. They should get mental health breaks or checks or whatever. Not like, grab his gun and get the butterfly net, but like, give him free therapy or I don't know. It's got to be a shitty.
Well, I think what's funny about the whole thing too is like whenever they, they're like defunding the police or whatever, or people hating the police is becoming popular or not popular, but they're like, and it's like, well, of course, most people don't like the cops. Like,
yeah.
I mean, like no one likes authority. No one wants they want to have it their way, dude.
Well, yeah. And conservatives get that too, because when they're told that they can't hold Nazi rallies on state lands,
or they can't put lead paint in kids' milk, they get really angry.
I saw this thing on one of those local next door websites or whatever, where people were bitching for a long time. They were bitching about how the government can't shut down places. The government can't tell places to do. Only private business can tell what goes on. So private business start up, and then they're like, well, you got to wear a mask if you come in here. And now they don't want to do that. And so like ultimately you just got to come to the realization that most conservatives just don't fucking want rules at all. They just want.
I don't know if it's conservatives as most people don't.
Yeah, okay, that's a fair point. But
people on the left aren't like, oh, please, more authority. Ooh, yes. And like, no, people in general.
Yeah.
I mean, it gets co-opted by conservative movements, just like the, cop, it's going to get co-opted that, they're going to try to, it's funny, like Trump keeps tweeting law and order, which sounds really stupid when he does it. And
do you think he makes that little noise in his head each time he tweets it?
Yeah.
Dum dum.
It's more like do 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 do.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, like Biden was asked like about defund the
Defunding.
police, and he said he wouldn't. I mean, of course he's not going to.
Sure.
I don't even think if Bernie Sanders is the nominee, I don't think he would. I think he would say something like he would bring up some things, but he would not. He would not say, "I would defund the police. I would tear it
No,
apart."
he would never say that. But if you look,
He would bring up things that we can do.
Bill Clinton is the one who first signed off on military gear getting transferred to police departments. And then Obama eventually came around and said, nope, we're not going to do that anymore. We're not going to give tanks to fucking the bug tussle police department. And then Trump came in and he's like, yep, we're back to giving tanks to police departments.
More tanks, more tanks.
So Obama did defund the police in the sense that he cut off their supply of military weapons. I think that it's 100% likely that if Biden gets elected president, he'll defund the police in a way like that. Nobody's going to get rid of the police. You need the police.
I think the problem is that defunding the police is, I don't think it's defined. People don't really know what it means. And I think
Right.
people, when they hear it, they react, of course. And that's why I said, that's why it's so much easier to run as a Republican, because all you need is 4 or 5 buzzwords, and that's it. And you don't have to even explain yourself. You don't have to say shit. I'm going to build a fence. I'm going to do this. I'm going to make the economy great. How? Don't worry about it. I got it, kid. Don't worry. You know, but like Democrats or liberals or left, we got to like explain everything. And then that's when you turn into Colin Robinson from, what was it? The vampire show. What We Do in the Shadows.
Yeah.
You ever watch that?
Yeah, I have not kept up with it. I watched the movie and then I watched a couple of the episodes. I thought
okay, well, the show is awesome, and one of the characters is an energy-sucking vampire where he just runs off facts and figures, and that's the problem. You become that guy. It's like a joke. It's like, but you become this thing that, like, you know, it's like people are like, well, Nancy Pelosi will go on this like tangent about like just all political earmarks, and we could do this, we could do that. People are just like, why can't you just say build a wall too?
Yeah, right.
Or just say I'll build a bigger wall. You know, it's like people don't want to hear that, and that's the problem. It's like, so of course, right wing are going to run on. They're going to say like the left is going to try to take away your police, and then the left is going to have to explain itself, and then we end up explaining way too much, and at that point people are already out to lunch and they don't.
Once you're explaining it, you've lost. You've already lost.
And the thing is, that's how Republicans are successful when they run, because they don't have to explain themselves. The people that vote for them don't care.
Right.
Are you gonna put church in school? Sure, I might. Are you gonna take away women's rights? Are you gonna not eat babies or something? They'll say something ridiculous like that. Can I have a gun? Sure, you can have as many guns as you want. Okay, cool. Can I eat? Can I have fried food? Yes, you can.
Yes, that's it.
I won't judge you. You go smoke 30 packs a day and do whatever the fuck you want. You have the freedom to die at the age of 30.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's just the truth. I think like it's more complicated on the other side. And I mean, I wish Biden, I don't know. I didn't hear what Biden said. I don't know what Biden said exactly, but I don't believe that if Bernie was the nominee, he would not say I would defund the police either. He would not.
Yeah. You're not going to get that yet. You should, though, have, and I think Biden will talk about this, about reforming the police to like alter the approach. Look,
I mean, the problem is that Biden's going to be, if he even ever gets to debate Trump, let's say if he ever even gets to debate him, because I don't think Trump's going to debate him.
Yeah,
I don't think he will. Trump, it doesn't matter what Biden says. Trump's just going to like say whatever the fuck. It's like you're not dealing with a human being. You're dealing with like catchphrases and like there are no rules. It's about just keeping power, and that's it. Like, I mean, I wish, like, well, one, I don't think Biden would say defund the police anyway. What I hope is that the Democrats don't react to whatever Trump says, because Trump's going to do whatever the fuck he wants.
Yeah.
It's like I remember during the primary when he would like tweet something about Sanders or something, and some more of the centrist Democrats would be like, "Look, you see, Trump's for he wants Sanders to win because," and it was like, no, he's just fucking with you. It's
Yeah.
like,
Well, I do think we'll get to the point where we reform the police. Like, you can't, it seems like there's enough people ready to talk about how maybe the police shouldn't have army tanks.
isn't it happening already, or it's going to happen in Minneapolis?
Yeah, Minneapolis voted they're going to defund the police. I don't know what that looks like. My guess is that it'll just gut their budget, so that they're performing some essential functions. Like I said, there's a lot of places that already do this regularly, where you rely on an elected sheriff rather than someone else. I mean, there's a certain logic to that.
I mean, you got to be careful. You might get a bad sheriff, but
Yeah, but you vote on them, and you can have them there's more mechanisms to deal with them.
I think.
Some of these,
Go ahead.
like the police chief in Los Angeles, making $1 million a year.
Michael Moore.
Yeah,
That's the thing.
Yeah. I don't know.
They were talking about, and then these guys all have bad politics too. But speaking of, the mayor of Minneapolis came out to like a protest, and they asked him if he would defund the police, and he said he wouldn't. They all like booed him and stuff. And I said, and this is what I was thinking too. And we'll end this, and we'll go into
Snowpiercer.
Speaking of cops, we'll talk about Snowpiercer.
Yeah.
He went in there, and I didn't even realize it was him. I thought it was just he's young. Clearly he looks young. I thought it was fucking cops.
I thought that like a local bag boy at a grocery store had wandered into the middle of the protest.
Malcolm in the Middle showed up and just went out there and started talking. And
right.
But I'll say this regardless, and I say this about this anytime. When would you have seen a Republican politician do that?
No. Good for him for going. I mean,
and he might have said that, and he might be pressured into doing the right thing, or he might say, "Listen, I'm not going to use the language to defund the police, but I'm going to do this, this, and this." And then it's okay, it's something. I don't know. My whole thing too is that Democrats shouldn't be scared to say it, because regardless, one, police reform is the same as defunding the police. Isn't that true? But if you start too close to that, Republicans are going to call you a communist no matter what. They're going to say you want to abolish the police. They're going to say whatever. So at that point, don't start weak. Come out strong. But no Republican would ever do what that guy from Minneapolis did.
No.
I don't care. This is an argument, and I make it all the time, about the difference between having a Democrat in office versus a Republican. Now, I'm not saying all Republicans, I'm talking about more like bigger cities, bigger, senators, governors, something like that. They shut you out. They will not come to a place where people are screaming Black Lives Matter and stuff like that. They'll go to something that they know they're safe at.
Yeah.
Some county fair, some bullshit, fucking NASCAR. I mean, I know that sounds like I'm making fun of it, but that's the truth.
No, but that's it. I mean,
that's what they do. Something safe, somewhere where they're not going to get countered by anybody.
Yeah.
And they would never, if the mayor of Minneapolis was Republican, there's no fucking way. I would be shocked. I would be blown away if they.
Right.
Imagine Giuliani doing that. Never in a fucking billion years. New York City, not Giuliani now. Talk about in the 90s.
Right. Lucid Giuliani.
Yeah. And the other thing too, I always love about the police, a good example is watch a documentary called Giuliani Time.
Okay.
There's a great part where they talk about the death of Abdul Diallo.
Yeah, the guy who was shot 57 times and
he was shot 42 times by the police. He literally, this is so fucked up. This is one of these fucked up stories happened in the 90s, and he literally was like outside his apartment building, and the cops killed him.
Springsteen wrote a song about that called like
Yeah.
something shots, like however many times he was shot. It was like 44 shots
The
or something like
police
that.
were mad at him.
Yeah, right.
You know, the guy was like, it's super fucked up on so many levels. But of course, Giuliani had the cops back.
Yep.
But a year later, when it was time for a raise,
right,
Giuliani wasn't on their side.
No.
Hey, listen, I only like you guys when you kill people.
Well, I guess this kind of leads to our the entertainment side, because like.
So yeah, speaking of cops.
Yeah.
Snowpiercer, and you're probably like, what? Snowpiercer, cops? Yeah, it's like, you know, we talked about the pilot, and we talked about the second episode. We took a week off, and we didn't talk about Snowpiercer third episode. And
right.
Now we're going to talk about the third and fourth episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fucking cop show. I mean, I knew it was kind of a cop show in the pilot when they revealed he was a cop and there was a murder investigation. I was like,
tip off.
I was like, hey, it's like the producers of the show were like, hey, nice movie about class struggle. I'm gonna make it into a cop show. It's like, I'm not shocked though. It's on fucking TNT.
Yeah.
You know, part of me is like, maybe this should have been on like, I don't know about HBO, but you know, something like a streaming service, something that didn't have to be a fucking goddamn cop show.
Well, I
was Lowly and Eyeless on a fucking train.
Yeah, I mean, look, I appreciate the fact that when you're making a TV show, often these days you have to have a big arc that spreads out over the entire season, but there needs to be multiple entry points, and you really kind of need an episode that'll make sense to someone just stumbling by it. You know, like.
Well, we're going to talk spoilers. The episode might have calmed down the cop angle a little bit.
They made a lot of interesting choices in episode 4 that I thought were pretty cool.
The ending, I was almost done with the show, but the ending got me spoilers.
Yes.
When the main guy, what's his name?
Leighton,
and what's Jennifer Connelly's character's name?
Melanie,
who's really Wilford or...
Yeah, you find out. The people now are talking about how you found that out in the first episode. I didn't find that out in the first episode. It was heavily hinted that she was Wilford in the first.
Well, she has like a voice thing that she uses to like make herself sound like there's a Wilford voice that she has programmed, and
by this time
she pretends to call Wilford, which is the guy who helps drive the train for her.
Yeah. By episode 4, there's no Wilford, but I don't think you knew that in episode 1.
There might be. We still don't know that. There might, Wilford could be in a fucking refrigerator case for all we know.
Yeah, he could be in the drawers.
I mean, there's all different theories that you can have. I'm like, one theories I'm thinking is that maybe she's a stowaway also.
Yeah.
But the thing was with and then she basically takes Leighton after solving the crime and everything. She basically, poisons him, knocks him out.
Drugs him, yeah.
Throws him in a drum. I love it. It's like the freezing and carbonite. It's just like, basically, hey, we don't know what we're going to do with your character for a while, but we're just going to put you in a drum.
Well, I'll tell you, the weird thing is, one of the cool things about the show is that I can't quite get a bead on Jennifer Connelly's character, Melanie, if she's not a good guy, but I can't get a bead on if she's like a misguided good guy, or if she's like, because she has redeemable.
She's trying to preserve the problem. Okay, so if we're going to talk about the movie and the show,
right?
The show is a failure in the eye of the movie, because the movie is about like forgotten people on the bottom trying to have a revolt, and like the end of humanity, and like it's like it's a weird thing. I mean, in the end of the day, it's almost like a weird thing to make a show of, because the movie was like, you come in and this is the last days of the Snowpiercer, basically, and and by the time you're done with the movie, you're like, you know what? maybe humanity needs to die. And I've said this a couple of times. I said it in the Snowpiercer episode. I said it when we talked about it, like when it's revealed there's children that are basically, it's like flashbacks to like the Industrial Revolution,
Right, yeah.
how they would use kids for things, and you need small hands,
Hey.
And the TV show, I think, fails on so many levels because it totally ignores the tale. It basically, which is the characters from the movie, basically. It pushes them to the back. They made multiple classes, so it's like, I mean, obviously you could say it's deeper, but I think at the same time, I feel like it, and then they turn it into a fucking cop show. I think the messaging is off. I'm not shocked because the show was put out by TNT, and I don't expect that from TNT as a network. It's not like a knock on them. I just don't expect that. I don't expect like the violence. I mean, it gets violent. They show violence on it.
Yeah.
I mean, like that one guy in the end they basically hack him to death.
There's violence.
The train's big enough that he's able to do parkour, so that's kind of cool. I mean, there's like, obviously it's a show, like you said, there's gonna be more arcs, and the train's bigger than the movie was. It's like,
I think it was really cool that I thought, look, when they first set up the is Jennifer Connelly Wilford, I thought clearly that's going to be you're going to find that out at the end of season 1. But you find it out like episode 4.
Well, I think there's more mystery to it. I don't think it's 100% yet. I think there's more to it than that.
I like the idea that you get some answers, or at least some progress made.
Well, usually most shows always have first 4 parts.
Yeah.
An arc, and then it kind of closes out, and then it goes into the next arc. Most shows do that. That's like a classic 4-part story. And
Buffy did really well with that, and they even had they had multiple parts, and then they had like bigger parts, and then they had a larger part.
There's like, there's something. Like I said, the show is. It's like, okay, you're introduced to, in the first episode, you're introduced to like the 2 guards and their assholes.
Yeah.
But then like the one guard becomes kind of like the Leighton's partner.
Yeah.
And I like how she's most of the time she's like a plainclothes, as opposed, like she doesn't wear a stupid guard outfit.
Yeah.
She's not like, I don't know. The show just, it's kind of stupid. I just think like it's almost like, why even call it Snowpiercer? I think it misses what the movie was really about, which isn't that deep. It's a movie about class struggle and like I said, the end of the world and like humanity and the show is kind of stupid.
Yeah, I agree. I guess I'll wait to see, because you do see they talk about some class struggle stuff. They haven't addressed it in any real way.
It's like, okay, you got the bottom where they basically make threats that we're gonna like just unleash the carts and let them go. We'll just let them fall off the fucking track. Abandon the carts. They always make that comment, or they talk about how they eat people, or and then the one thing they do, which is different from the movie, is they'll use them. Well, they hinted at in the movie a little bit, but very rarely. But they use them a lot for like sanitation. They have them come out. They use them for that. But they really just, there was like the pilot should not have had the revolution or the beginning part where they had their little revolt. It was almost like they wanted to like emulate the movie. So they shoved it in there.
They had some set pieces from the movie.
Right. I feel like what they should have done was have the tale, show it, don't go into it too much, and then by the end of the first season, that's when the revolution starts, or that's when the revolt really starts, and then you end it on that, and then you find out this other thing's wrong with the train, but instead of what they did, the second episode, they take like most of the main guys in Revolution, they shove them in a drawer.
Yeah. Yeah.
To be used at a later episode for wake them up. We need them for a plot.
I will say the acting's been pretty good. The sets and the special effects have been pretty good. I'm going to stick with the show for a while longer.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna watch it. I still am entertained by it. I'm
Oh
just
yeah,
saying though, the messaging of the movie and the show are just
right.
awful.
I will say I've tempered my expectations, and this last one, I didn't watch episode 3 when it came out. I caught it later, and I just recently caught episode 4. This isn't a show I'm like sitting on pins and needles trying to figure out every angle. Um,
It's like, the stupid rich girl, like
yep.
that was dumb.
Yeah.
I love though he was a straight up cop though. He like set her up.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
She told him everything, and then he's like, "You're under arrest." And
Right.
he's like, "What?" She wanted to have sex with him. It was so funny. You can
Yeah.
tell. Um, okay, so you're introduced to like the tail, and then there's the third class, which they go to a lot, which
Yep.
is like what his Layton's like ex-wife or whatever you would
Yeah.
call her. That's basically what she's part of. And then there's the first class. The one thing they haven't really shown is the second class.
Right.
I'm wondering if there even is a second class. Like, I'm assuming there is, and that could be interesting.
I would imagine there should be. I mean, like, yeah, that would be interesting because these are people that it'd be interesting to see if they're mobile. Like, can you get out of the lower class into the second class, or is lower class just used as a punishment for the second class people?
I think they mentioned that.
Mm,
They talk about that you can
yeah.
move. There's ways to move up. I don't think you could get into first class. That's the thing. Like, they didn't even want to bring him into the first class area in Layton.
Huh.
Like, and he sees all the artwork on the wall, which I
Yeah,
thought was
yeah,
kind of a cool scene. Like,
that is cool.
um,
It's got some really cool imagery. I like this show. I mean, I like what they're doing in a lot of ways. I go both ways on the cop thing. On one hand, I like that they devised a way to keep it structured and moving forward. On the other hand, it just seems so lazy. Like we had talked
yeah,
about.
it's lazy to do. You mean the cop thing? It's
Yeah,
lazy.
put a cop on it.
It's
Like
like there'll be an underlying mystery throughout the
right.
series, and only Detective Layton can solve the crime
Yeah.
of Snowpiercer. Even though I did like the cat Snowpiercer.
Yeah.
Is that the cat's name?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was like Snow Peter.
Oh, geez. All right.
Cat
I
in
didn't
the
catch
fourth
that.
episode.
No.
The redhead girl had a cat, which is the baby Yoda of the
Right.
show. Which means now it's my favorite show ever made.
Yes.
Yeah, it is lazy. It's like the people who are like, okay, we're gonna make a movie out of this, and they're like, ooh, this seems a little too deep. This seems like a bummer.
Yeah.
What do we do? I don't know. Fucking put a cop in it.
Right. That's it.
I mean, like, I love it too. Like when they go through like the little makeshift city blocks in the third class area, it looks like lame episodes of Law and Order when they go up to people in like the dock, and the guys they're always working when they're interviewing somebody, and they're like they literally are always working. Like they'll be talking, and then like the guy who's working will then stop and look like when he's done, he'll say, I hope you catch that creep.
Yeah.
That's kind of. I was like watching the show more. I'm like, it's a fucking police procedural show.
It's like a million other shows just on a train. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, like I said, it's enough intriguing ideas for me to stick around. I don't know how much longer I'll stick around, but I'm in for now.
I'm just curious. Did it get renewed?
I've heard that they've already cast and have begun work on a season 2.
I mean, the problem is with the coronavirus, people are gonna be like, there's gonna be so much delays on so many like shows and movies that were in production. Like, it's so funny throughout this time period. I'm like, there's been all these like I see all these like YouTube videos, like announcements of different projects, and I'm like, who gives a fuck? None of them, they're not gonna be working on anytime soon.
Right. Yeah.
I think there's some areas in the world where people are filming that are like back to normal. Like I heard like Witcher season 2 is being filmed actually, and like, but like, I don't know. It's just bizarre, like where entertainment's going to be. Is there going to be like this weird period where like nothing's out?
Probably.
I don't know.
Hollywood's always had weird problems. I read an article the other day where like the number one grossing movie in 1987, I think it was like Three Men and a Baby, which was like a stupid movie. And honestly, if I remember right, they stuck a cop in that too. There's like a subplot with a cop.
But was there a coronavirus?
No, but there was like a cop. Like, do you remember like maybe one of them was a cop, or there's some deal where like
the baby was a cop.
Baby was a cop.
Yeah. And then the baby interviewed a guy who was working at a dock.
It was a young Paul Blart. That's who the baby was.
And the guy in the dock was like, I hope you catch that creep. And that creep was Steve Guttenberg. That's the plot.
Wow.
Three Men and a Little Baby.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know if I want to talk about Snowpiercer anymore. I mean, I'll watch it.
Yeah.
We'll bring it up, but like
maybe at the end of the season.
I feel like it misses the point of the movie. It's kind of like a good example is I don't know what the word parable, but like the Star Wars thing where like let's introduce a character. Anakin's a slave when he's a kid, but we'll totally mishandle it. And
right.
Then this worse, what do they call it? Child soldier? What do they call it?
Yeah, child soldiers.
Yeah. And we'll just totally mishandle that too because this is a little too heavy-handed for mainstream audiences. Yeah. And I think Snowpiercer is a perfect example of the movie was never really a mainstream movie. It was technically considered a foreign movie, even though the cast was filled. It was a South Korean film. Yeah. I think it was released foreign. It did not. It came out here, but it was not considered an American film.
Right. That makes sense. Yeah.
And it was made, even though like I said, the majority of the cast is like, I mean, that's a full star cast. I mean,
right.
Even
big.
But it deals with like subject matter that is not mainstream or commercial.
Yeah.
And Snowpiercer is a TV show on TNT. Like I said, if it was on like Stars or a cable channel where they're like a premium channel, like where they're like, we don't give a fuck, we don't put a fucking cop in it. Like a good example. Do you ever hear the stories of the making of The Sopranos?
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about though? Like what?
Are you talking about that? Like David Chase gave a series of interviews where he talked about that. Is that what you're talking about?
Well, I don't know if that's it. He talks about who created Sopranos? Was it David Chase?
I think it was David Chase.
Okay. He said that he tried pitching it first to like networks, and they couldn't get around the fact that Tony Soprano was a mafia guy.
Okay.
That they couldn't have him be, because the show is about the mafia, and it's not a good person. But you know, you see his family and you see his life, even though he's constantly cheating on his wife and he's a fucking criminal. When he pitched it, the network was like, well, can you have it be that, like, yeah, he's a crime boss, but he tips off the cops.
Right.
So he's technically a good guy.
Yeah,
he's tipping off the police. And he was like, no.
Right. That's the opposite of what I'm trying to do here.
And I think that's the problem. And that's why the show worked. It went on HBO. HBO was like, we don't give a shit. We're going to make stuff. And the problem is Snowpiercer should have been on like that kind of network, or
I can see that.
Or maybe again it's just lazy writing.
Well, I think we'll see with the next episode with Leighton in the drawer and Melanie kind of running the show. I think the next episode will tell you which direction the show is going. Did you see
it's like a stupid court case?
I did. I watched a little of the preview. I got kind of distracted during the preview. I don't know.
It's it's like the girls on trial. It looks super dumb.
Right.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't really have anything else to say about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll watch it because it's still entertaining, and I don't have anything else to do right now. Because.
And this is kind of like an odd coincidence because our next show that we're talking about recording, we're going to do a South Korean movie.
Well, it's from the guy who made Snowpiercer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's actually the guy. You're right. It's the same guy, but it's also another product from South Korea, Parasite.
Yeah, it's the director of Snowpiercer,
Yeah, that's funny. I did not even. I mean, I knew
Bong
that,
Hit Joe.
right? my old college alias, Bong Hit Joe.
um, yeah, we're gonna do Parasite next.
Yeah, that'll be
Man, I
good.
hope I hope they make a Parasite TV show
Yeah,
and they make it about a cop.
they are making a Parasite TV show, aren't they?
No,
I'm almost positive they are.
no, they're not.
I I think they are. No, you don't think so?
Go look that up while
I'm
we're
looking it up right
talking.
now. Hold on.
Are you
A
sure it's not
Parasite-
the anime Parasite? There's an anime called Parasite.
I did
That's
not know that.
not the movie.
Yeah, Parasite HBO series eyes Mark Ruffalo to star.
Ugh.
They're 100% doing that. I knew I heard that.
No, that sounds. I don't know if that. I mean, I didn't finish the movie yet. I'm halfway done, and don't know how that's gonna work as a show.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there'll be a cop in it.
Cop in it. Put a cop in it.
It's kind of funny though, because I'm watching Snowpiercer, and we'll wrap this up. But especially with everything going on in, there's people I follow on Twitter who are like actors or people in the media, and they talk about how they're always getting roles as cops. It's like the easy. It's like that, and like every show has a cop in it, and
Oh yeah,
especially with everything's going on, and people's like favoring of cops has gone down. People are like making jokes about how Brooklyn Nine-Nine should just
right.
the show with Andy Samberg, which I enjoy the show. I don't care if they're cops; doesn't matter to me. I have no like, but they were like they should just do the next season where they're just something else and not even explain it. And
Just
the show would be exactly the same.
That'd be funny.
All of a sudden, they're like at a fancy restaurant. And
they're at Dunder Mifflin.
Or they're in yeah. Just, yeah, they just becomes
they
the
should
office.
do that. They should use the same theme music and everything. They're just
from not the Office. They should still use the same theme.
No, the Office theme song, and they should.
Yeah,
it should just be the new Office, but it's the Brooklyn 99 cast.
Oh, I forgot to bring up before we wrap this up. Speaking of, because you brought up Dumbo and Mifflin, did you watch Space Force?
No, I want to.
It's good. I liked it. It's on Netflix.
Is it good?
I liked it. It's
Cool.
good. It's a lot better than I thought it would be because I thought it would just be like a dumb, goofy show, like Space Force, Trump, but it actually was pretty well done. There's some good characters in it. Steve Carell's in it. He's great. Yep. John Malkovich, of course, is great. Yes. But the funny thing about it is the best is that, and I didn't know this is something that can happen, that the Trump administration might lose the name Space Force because technically Netflix owns the name.
Nice.
Because they put a show out called Space Force as a joke to the whole.
Right.
And Trump's never mentioned on the show, but it's heavily implied that there's a President Trump and that he tweets all the time.
I will check that out.
It's definitely worth checking out. Unfortunately, there's not a cop in it.
Oh, deal breaker.
But it does have a heavy military presence, which, especially today's age, that's like the same thing. So
be a cop.
You're gonna be okay then. You're gonna be safe. The show is just all about cops.
Nice. All right, I'm in.
But I think that's really bizarre that they would lose the name Space Force because of a show.
That's hilarious.
Parodying that was made as a joke to make fun of.
Yeah.
Space Force.
Well, there you go.
They shouldn't. You know what? Honestly, they shouldn't call it that anyway. That's too stupid.
It's dumb as fuck. Yeah.
Like it's funny for a TV show, and it's funny because they were making fun of it. And like when they do the meeting, and in the first episode, he's like a real general. He becomes a 4-star general, and they put him in a position, and they're like, "We have a new job for you." And he's sitting around the table, and they're like, he's sitting with like other generals or something like that. And Steve Carell's character is like, they're like, "Oh, we have a new position for you." And he's like, "What's that? We want you to be in charge of Space Force." And he just like he's a serious general, and he's like what? Like he couldn't believe like it was real. He's like, "Are you kidding?"
They should have just, I mean, clearly, like, you can have a space force, but it's just part of the Navy or Air Force or whatever. I mean,
just don't call it that. It sounds so dumb.
Yeah.
Like, it sounds like the name of a bad, like, Star Wars came out, so let's make a Star Wars ripoff movie.
Call it Space Force.
Space Force, and it, like, no one remembers it. Like, you might have seen it, and Roger Corman made it, you know? All right, well, that's it.
Yeah, all right.
I think we'll release this one for everybody.
Yeah.
We'll
we should be able to get this one popped up Wednesday.
Yep.
And we'll do our Parasite, and then we'll go from there. Hopefully.
All right.
Yeah. All right.
Well, Matt, I'm Rob Israel.
I'm Joseph K.
You still going on about
that?
Thank you for listening to You Still Going On About That. Please like, comment, share, and if you haven't done already, please follow us on Instagram, YSGOAT, Facebook, YSGOAT, and Twitter, YSGOAT. Thank you, and have a great day.